see. If you're out there, say hello. Look like I got some issues. Child, y'all gonna have to bear with me today because my internet is on some straight up bullshit. Look at it, it's at red right now. It's about to stress me out. But hey, Josiah, Shantae, Steph, Rita, Privy, Deb, Redskins. Child, I plan to talk a lot of mess, but ooh, child, a thunderstorm just started. My extender's not working. I'm about to be stressed out with this internet. But it's okay, I'm gonna make it work. Let me see. Ooh, okay, hold on. Somebody get started already. Harriet says he had no business opening his legs to a married woman and couldn't handle the heat. Ooh, okay, you want to talk about August Alsina and Will and Jada. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that, child. Hey, Emerald, Lisa, Lonnie, Kenny at work. Okay. I was told to care. Christine, Aaliyah, Jay, Carol, Calistine, Shantae, Ted, Pam. Ooh, okay. Bonnie, Faria, Elaine, Destiny, Shayna, Pamplin, Tony. Hey, cuz. Good to see you. Merritt, Selena. Okay. Okay, so y'all saw I'm going to start on being messy today, huh? Hey, is it Luciana or Luciana? I think it's Luciana. You know me, I like to get into some little gossip every now and again. And it's been burning up on Twitter about Will and Jada and August Alsina. Hey, Robin. No. Mayor, I didn't know. You saying things. I did not make a face on your name, Chair. I got love for you and everybody else on here. Hey, Diana, Jennifer. Jennifer says, hey, girl, the devil is a liar with the internet issues. Yes, okay, for real. Robin said Kamala shined on MSNBC just now. Yes, she did. She did an amazing job. It was like an 18-minute interview. But before I get to that, let me talk about this Will and Jada situation. Hey, Tiffany. Diane, I think I said, hey. Okay. Let's intercede for the writer right now. Yes, y'all say a prayer for my internet connection, chill. Say a prayer. Hey, Ford. Okay. So, I was trying to get on Instagram today as well. It's not cooperating with me. Let me just try one more thing, chill. Let me try one more thing. Usually I got to give it a couple of tries for it to work. I had a good little time on Instagram. I don't post a lot on Instagram like I used to. And so I don't necessarily, expect a lot of people, but it was a handful of people on Instagram yesterday. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to check this out, see if I can make it do something. It's not working today though, so I don't know. Instagram won't let me be great today. So it's just gonna be y'all. But I appreciate y'all anyway. Alright, so Will and Jada. Okay, wait, is it coming out? Nope, not gonna do it. Not gonna be able to do it today. It's okay. It's alright. So, for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, let me go ahead and let me clue you in. So, what happened was, August Alsina went on an interview with Angela Yee, and he was just spilling his heart, child, talking about how he has never loved a person like Jada, and how he sat down, allegedly, this is what he said, that's not my words, he said he sat down with Will, because Will and Jada have quote-unquote transitioned to life partnership. Whatever that means. And so August says that he sat down with Will, and he said that Will gave August his blessing to, I guess, have a relationship with Jada. And so he talked about how deep their love was and all this kind of stuff, and how he could just die. If he died tomorrow, it would be okay because he had love, and just really, 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 really like all into it, child. And, we've seen pictures of August and Jada over the years. They vacationed in Hawaii together with Willow and her boyfriend. And August met Jada through her son, Jaden. And so, that's that on that. But it just set everybody on fire. Now, there's always been these claims that Will and Jada have an open relationship. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not here to judge. People can have whatever kind of arrangement that works for them. But I I do feel like it's very tacky of August to sit up there and, spill the beans like that. If that was your situation, then why are you, broadcasting that information? What do y'all think about this situation? Y'all leave a comment. Do you think that, do you think that, sorry, I lost train of thought. Do you think that August is, spilling some piping hot tea, or is August having some issues, or maybe he's imagining some shit? Maybe he read into it a little bit more than what Jada did, because Jada's spokesperson said that it was a lie, that what he's saying happened did not happen. We know they had a friendship, and we know that, perhaps from Jada's perspective, it was about him getting clean. He admitted to having a drug issue. And just helping him out with all his troubles, helping reunite with his mom and things like that. And so, if you listen, maybe from her perspective, it wasn't all that from what he sees it. But what he's saying, though, it's a lot. So what do y'all think? I know y'all been leaving a lot of comments. Y'all go ahead and tell me what you think, and I'm going to read them off. A couple people. Crackhead Joe said, I'm actually here because I saw y'all rolling. But welcome. Hey, Toya, Bonnie. That Jada and August Jada situation is a whole mess. What's up, Derek? Claudius, hey. Hey, Leroy. Let's see. Jessica says, I saw the interview August gave him. I mean, it was a good interview. I don't know if he was doing it just to promote his music. He definitely got the tongues wagging, child, because I probably wouldn't be talking about August Alsina, if truth be told, but for this situation. The 33 says, it's been known rumor that Will and Jada have an open relationship, but why is August talking about it like a bitter bee? It sounds like sour grapes to me. Yeah, he didn't sound all that bitter, but at the same time, that's still, don't kiss and tell. That's tacky. Somebody said, I saw a meme, somebody said they didn't get an NDA on August. They needed to, child. They definitely needed to. August probably needs to actually make some good music. Luciana says, totally tacky, should be Jada to spill the beans. Jada got a whole ass talk show, Red Table Talk. If she wanted to tell her business like that, she could tell her business. She done told a lot of business, but she ain't told that. So my thing is, don't tell other people's situations. Hey, Letitia. Shonda says, I guess he's gearing up for his next number. He shouldn't kiss and tell, especially if he really has feelings for her. But do you think maybe that him having feelings for her is and her kind of like playing him to the left, kind of denying that there was anything there? Do you think that maybe that could lead to a little bit of resentment and maybe a little bit of, him just trying to, I don't want to say get back or anything like that, but just kind of wanting to let the world know that, it was something more there than what she let on. What do y'all think? Fun Side says, Will has his side pieces quiet. August should have kept that to himself. Yeah, if Will's got something going on, they definitely not spilling the beans. I mean, he must have some NDAs. B Dizzle says, I have no opinion on it. That's their business. Yeah, you know what? That is perfectly legitimate. Perfectly legitimate about it. Kenny says, I'll go live later about it. I got some dirt from Lovely T about the situation. Okay, that's fine. Y'all check out Kenny later. Fix it, Jesus. Jada's smarter than that. If it did happen, she would have had him sign an NDA. Well, does the NDA cover you lying or saying stuff that never happened, or does it only cover you saying stuff that actually happened? Because that might be a way of getting around it. NDA says you can't talk about situations that happen, but you can make shit up. Diana says if it were true, they would have an NDA. Lisa says, I believe Jada. He probably imagined a relationship existed while he was high. Oh, child. Christine says, Will and Jada's relationship is their own thing. Whatever works for them. August should have kept his mouth shut. True or not, he knew what he was getting into. When you get into a situation with a married woman, then you kind of have that coming. Even though Jada is older, and maybe some might argue that August was, vulnerable or whatever else. At the end of the day, marriage is a clear delineation. Once you get involved with a married person, then anything that happened to you after that, you brought upon yourself. Okay, any heartbreak or any whatever. Shayna says, well, you can't exaggerate a whole conversation about Will giving his blessing. It may not be an exaggeration. It could just be a whole fabrication. Destiny says, I smell some beef soon. Pamela says, thirsty for attention. Bonnie says, I have a hard time believing August will make all this up. I don't know. That's true. You know, who's to say? Who's to say? Okay, I'm going to move on from this topic. Ooh, Elaine says sex toys turned into stalker. Ooh, child. Doug says cocaine is a hell of a drug. Allegedly. Tony says, I thought he said non-sexual, so maybe he was in love with her and they just was just friends, but he wanted more. I don't know. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot going on with that situation. But we're gonna go ahead and leave it there. I just wanted to get y'all opinion on the chat because everybody's been talking about it. Devon says, where's our young lad at this point? Okay. Well, we know who ain't gonna be on Red Table Talking. That's August. Okay, we know that. August is August Alsina. He's a singer. What's the song that he sings? I know he has music. I know I would have heard it, but I don't know his music off the top of my head. I could not name a song. So if y'all know songs, then y'all let me know. Jackie says, hey lady. Okay, so let's move on. What was the topics I said? I think today I said we're gonna talk about this racist in chief. So I saw a few interesting articles today about Donald Trump, y'all's president. And basically, I saw one article I saw that was interesting was him talking about how he feels like taking Jared Kushner's advice has been the wrong move. Yeah, that's accurate. But it was interesting that he was saying that he should not have taken Jared Kushner's advice as it relates to criminal justice reform. And basically he has decided he's going to go all in on being pro-police. He's not going to do anything whatsoever that could be perceived as being against the police. So, you know, he regrets his executive order, which didn't do jack shit anyway. And he even regrets his first setback, which is something that he has touted many, many times. So, you know, obviously that is going to be an issue when it comes to getting any kind of meaningful criminal justice reform passed. Now, we know that, you know, the chances of him actually signing any kind of criminal justice legislation into effect is probably slim to none. But you guys mentioned earlier that Kamala Harris was on Nicole Wallace, and Nicole asked her about that. And she said, you know, we cannot let Donald Trump be the standard by which we determine whether or not to take action. And I thought that was absolutely perfect way of putting that. You have to keep moving. People are out on the streets. People are still protesting this. And so we don't have the luxury of saying, well, Donald Trump doesn't want it, so let's just forget about it. No. The whole point of protest, the whole point of a movement is to press forward, press your elected officials on action. And honestly, this stuff is also having an impact on the local levels, on the state levels, on the local levels. And so it's absolutely critical that people continue to be out there protesting, calling your elected officials and things like that. And so I was very heartened by Senator Kamala Harris's response that, you know, we're going to keep pressing on. And then if the bill gets to his desk, then he's going to have to decide how he's going to deal with that, and he'll have to deal with the consequences of that. So I thought that was a perfect way of handling that. But did y'all see that he said, you know, Bill de Blasio is talking about painting Black Lives Matter outside of Trump Tower. And Trump said that it is a hate symbol. I don't say, can y'all believe that, because he's a white supremacist. And will do white supremacists hate black people? So yes, to him, that could absolutely be considered a hate symbol. But to decent people, why is saying Black Lives Matter a hate symbol? Y'all explain that to me. Let me go read some of your comments. He's an orange mess, not my president. Oops, somebody. One more comment. I'm just being messy. Somebody said about August, fake ass Trey songs. Ooh, yeah. Racist and cheap. Okay, let me see what else y'all say. Jared Kushner is a whole ass fraud like his father. Yep, you know his father is the convicted criminal. Well, didn't he go to jail for fraud? Something like that. Sure did. This dude has got to go. Absolutely. I don't believe any of these palace intrigue stories with unnamed sources. You know, that's a thought, Charles. I understand that this is from Axios, but we know that the Trump administration has been very leaky from day one. very leaky from day one. And I do think that, so part of this Axios story was basically some Trump advisor saying that he needs to distance himself from Jared Kushner, and that Jared Kushner has the most power out of any advisor. And so I do believe that, people leak stuff to the media to try to influence Trump, because that's what he pays attention to. He pays attention to what's in the paper, what's on the TV screen. So I don't find it hard to believe that this kind of battle is going on in Trump world. Henry says he needs the police unions, right? Tiffany Khan was on fire on Nicole. Yep. Donald Trump has never and will never care about black people, period. And Mike Pence, too. You see how many times people have tried to get Mike Pence to say Black Lives Matter, and he absolutely refuses. Shayna says he isn't doing a dog whistle now. He's using a blowhorn for all these racist white people. His path is what he calls the silent majority, right? And that is the driving force behind the Republican Party, that there's a silent majority, white majority of people who they're not gonna, maybe they won't respond, that they prefer Donald Trump. Maybe they're not out there being vocal, wearing a MAGA hat, but they agree with him and they're gonna vote for him. That's what his whole strategy is, and trying to galvanize the silent majority. And unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, but realistically, the silent majority, as he believes, or as the Republicans believe, they don't care nothing about this. They don't care about being woke. They don't care nothing about Black Lives Mattering or anything like that. And so he's going to double and triple down, because he's like, I can't out woke the Democrats, so I'm just gonna go all the way back to they're bringing drugs, they're rapists, build a wall, Black lives don't matter, thugs, gangs, all that shit. If this looting starts, shooting starts, that's what he's gonna double down on. Van Jones applauded 45 when he signed that bill. Isn't that interesting that Van Jones has made a whole thing out of the First Step Act, and how, even how Donald Trump deserved that award. Remember when Donald Trump was going to get an award for his First Step Act at a HBCU, and Kamala Harris was like, I'm not going to be involved with that. I will absolutely not participate in this forum if he gets this award, or whatever the situation may be. And now he's sitting up there basically behind closed doors repudiating his work that he was getting an award from these black Republicans. People need to get it together. He said BLM is a hate organization, which is literally insane. It's literally insane. BLM needs to be in the 5 boroughs of NYC. It's only in 2 boroughs. Okay. Let's see. He's using 1 out of 88 billion, so he's about 19 billion short of reallocating the NYC budget. Robin, I'm assuming you're talking about defunding the police. Let's see. Retweeting or supporter isn't yelling white power isn't. Yeah, that is definitely white speech. I said it in my tweet, and I will say it again. It's very simple. Donald Trump is a symbol of hate. His presidency is a symbol of hate. I know how I felt the day after Donald Trump got elected, and it's probably the least woke thing, the least woke moment of my life, because I hate to admit that it was even this much shocking that there is so much hatred and racism towards, I will say, people of color in this country, that a fucking racist was elected to be the president. Now, granted, he lost he lost the popular vote, but I just remember, like, this country really hates black people. This country really hates people of color. That was the overarching message that his election sent to me. And he's proven that time and time again. His presidency has proven time and time again that he is, in fact, the symbol of hate. But unfortunately, it's not just a symbol. It's actually white supremacist policy making. It's cruelty. It's apathy. It's costing us lives. And it's costing us our standing in the world. So it's more than just symbolism. But if you wanted to look up hate in the dictionary, Donald Trump's presidency will be right there. Let's see. Chris Christie put Jared Kushner's father in jail. All right. It's wild. Steven says it's wild seeing these Republicans saying nothing about Trump allowing the Russians to kill our troops. Not only are they not saying nothing, they're actually defending him and covering for him. And that's just so, that is wild. That is wild. Because they're supposed to be the party of law and order. And they're supposed to be the party that supports the troops. Okay, let's see. Lots of praise for Senator Kamala Harris's appearance on Nicole Wallace. I'll talk to them. I'm just going to look through some of the comments. He'll crank up the racism to distract from allowing Russia to murder our soldiers. Right. Bolton said there's an empty chair in the office of the president. We just need to ignore him 4 months and counting. Bolton isn't wrong, but fuck John Bolton too. Okay. What's a word with 3 silent K's? Republicans. Saw that online and was like, well, okay. So the HBCU wasn't actually giving out the award. It was an organization that was hosting the Criminal Justice Forum at the HBCU. In fairness to, I think it was, what college was it? Was it Bennett College? It was in South Carolina. I might have that wrong. But it was a college in South Carolina. Black College in South Carolina. Are pictures allowed in the comments? I don't know, Stephanie. Day after the election, I burst into tears in front of my white students when I went to work. Chill. That was so traumatizing. I went to bed early. I've never in my life went to bed without knowing who won the presidency. I was disgusted, and I was just like, I can't even. And I woke up, and it was confirmed, and it was just so depressing. Henry said his election actually made me second guess the importance of voting. I understand that, but I think honestly, if anything, it should really, really, really drive home the point of voting. Really should. Lots of people kind of talking about how they were beside themselves with his election. And to be clear, we all knew that Donald Trump is going to be a fucking horrible ass racist president. But I think it's Benedict College. Thank you, Henry. Benedict College that had the Benedict it was a black women's college. So I was like, Benedict doesn't sound right. It was Benedict College. We all know that his presidency would be a shit show, but I just think it was just so appalling and so shocking and just, oh my God. Let's see. Yeah, I think we all were just devastated. Okay, let's see. Jessica says 130,000 Americans dead. They won't stand up for common sense. Pence refused to wear a mask at Mayo Clinic. No lives matter to them, not even their supporters. That's the thing. Their supporters are the ones. I mentioned this yesterday. In Oklahoma, the infection rate is skyrocketing. I don't know if you guys saw today that the United States set a record for most number of cases for COVID-19. This is not a New York, New Jersey, Connecticut issues or California issue. This is an entire national issue because our government did not do what they needed to do to protect this country and stop the spread of it. And it just seems like it's not piercing through yet. Like people aren't getting it yet. We set a record for the most number of COVID cases today or yesterday. More than we were shut down when everybody was like, oh my God, we have to stay home. We have to, bend the curve. More than at that point, we have more cases. And yet I hate that my cord is all in the way. Room rating would definitely knock me off a point, Chef, for my cord being in the way. But anyway, it's I don't know what it's going to take for people to understand that this shit is real. It's actually getting worse. And it just seems like we're just all just kind of, I guess they've just said, good luck, bitches. Let me just say that. Good luck, bitches. That's what our government has said. And it's not just the federal, it's also the states that have said that. Republican governors are doubling down. My governor in Nebraska said any business requiring a mask will lose COVID funding. Oh my God. Seriously? Brazil is behind us with about 1.5. Yeah, Brazil is another country where stubborn, not using science to push the issue. Let's see. United States has the most deaths in the globe. I think somebody said we account for 5% of the world population and 25% of the deaths related to COVID. And we don't have a plan to make it stop. That's the fucked up part about it. No government plan, no ad campaign, PSAs, mass social distancing, etc. Nothing. Rochelle says, have you discussed the Russian bounty issue? Black mother says she wants answers because her son was killed in Afghanistan. Yeah, several families have come forward and they want to know what happened in Afghanistan. The Senate Intelligence Committee, you know, Senator Kamala Harris sits on the Senate Intelligence Committee, was briefed on that today. Obviously, they can't come out and, you know, talk about what they're briefed on because it's classified. But this story doesn't seem like it's going away. Donald Trump is calling it a hoax. Dead soldiers is not a hoax. Financial transactions from the GRU to the Taliban is not a hoax. And it's a very, very, very troubling and disturbing story. And let's say that Donald Trump did not know, which defies reason because it was in his presidential daily briefing. Let's say he didn't know. So you didn't know. But when you find out, why isn't your reaction to demand accountability, to demand an investigation, to demand consequences, sanctions, or something like that for Russia? Why is it your inclination to deny it and call it a hoax? Senator Kamala Harris said it best, Donald Trump is the greatest threat to our national security. It's absolutely crazy. And it's so unfortunate. He has not been a consoler in chief. You know, there have been multiple families who have experienced death. You guys might remember the family, and I hate that I can't remember the name. It was a black soldier in Africa, I believe it was. He was killed. And his family, y'all help me out if you know the name. I'm going to scroll down, skip some of your comments. Sorry. If y'all know the name, help me out. He was a part of Frederica Wilson's initiative, and his family talked about how he was rude, and John Kelly's punk ass was sitting up there, Yemen. Okay, so it was in Yemen, and John Kelly, Ladarius Johnson. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate y'all. And he's just completely abdicated his role as being a consoler in chief and actually giving a damn about the troops. So it's very, very disturbing. Is it LaDavid or is it Ladarius? But you guys, I think you guys know. Somebody fact check that for me. Which one is it? I know it's Johnson, Sergeant LaDavid Johnson. Okay, LaDavid Johnson. So it's just disturbing that he just doesn't give a damn about the troops. But Senator Kamala Harris was on with Nicole Wallace. Like I said earlier, it was an 18-minute interview. She went in depth on this conversation. And you guys check it out. Deadline with Nicole Wallace. You have to see what she has to say. But I want to move on to my last topic because this time went by so fast, y'all. I know I was a little late. My internet, like I said, stressing me out. It's been okay since I've been on here, but has been stressing me out. But I did want to address the Veepstakes polling. There's 2 polls that came out today. And I don't like to live by the polls, and I don't like to die by the polls. But I feel like I mentioned the other day, the New York Times came out with this bullshit article where they tried to use that as a basis of saying that people don't care about the vice presidential pick being a woman of color. And I pointed out that's not what the question was. The question wasn't, do you care if the person is a woman of color? The question was, should Biden use race as a criteria? Now, most people would say, no, you shouldn't use race as a criteria. That's fine. I would say race does have a role in it, but more important than just race, it's the cultural competency is the thing that I have been stressing. But I point out that there has been many polls that have showed that people are more motivated and believe that the person on the ticket should be a woman of color. That is just what the polls are saying. But, you know, the media, particularly the New York Times and the Washington Post, have a very pro-war slant to it. They like to pick and choose how they want to present data to you. So, USA Today has a poll out Somebody do me a favor and include the link in the comments. Several people are referencing it. Shit, my damn. I keep fucking forgetting to plug my raggedy ass laptop up before I go on live. And this bitch don't have no kind of battery life to it, yeah. What the? Okay. Let me turn my audio down. So I'm just gonna read you some tidbits from this poll. Okay. It says, I'm reading the New York Times article, 7 in 10 Democrats in the new USA Today Suffolk poll says it's important to them that the presumptive nominee Joe Biden picks a woman of color as his running mate on the Democratic presidential ticket this fall. A third of Democrats among both black and white Americans call it very important. Thank you, Pam, for posting that link. I'm going to steal it from you, and I'm going to post it as well. And so you guys can read along, or you can share it, or whatever it is that you choose to do with this information. I'm just letting you know what USA Today polling is saying, Jill. Okay? And among those surveyed, the potential contender who generates the most enthusiasm as vice presidential nominee among those surveyed is, drumroll, California Senator Kamala Harris, followed by former gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams and Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. Okay. Let's see. So I'm going to skip down. And I'm going to just tell you what it says. Okay. It says, among the possibilities, Harris, the daughter of Jamaican and Indian immigrants, generated the most excitement and across racial lines. 41% of whites and 32% of African Americans would be very excited by her choice. Overall, an additional 33% called her acceptable. 12% said she would not be acceptable. Okay. Abrams was rated as exciting choice by 20% of white and 27% of black respondents. 29% said that she would be acceptable and 10% said not acceptable. Elizabeth Warren would be exciting by 33% of whites. That's lower than Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris had 41%. Elizabeth Warren had 33% and 15% of blacks. That's half of the people that would be excited by Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris had 32% of African Americans who would be very excited, and 15% black people would be very excited for Elizabeth Warren. So all these articles where they find one person, typically a person who was a Warren supporter throughout the election or a person who was a Bernie supporter throughout the elections, they find those one or two people and they say, oh, black people find Elizabeth Warren acceptable. 15% enthusiasm, exciting, doesn't sound like she's an equal substitute. 15% is lower than the 27% for Abrams and lower, half, than the 32% for Kamala Harris. Explain to me how Elizabeth Warren is the more exciting choice when the polling says, and I don't like to live by the poll and die by the polls, but that's all that the Warren nieces have put in my face is polls until the polls changed, and all of a sudden they still using the same polls. And luckily for Elizabeth Warren, the media still wants to stick to that narrative. So they're still pulling polls for May to make their case, even though the June polls say something totally different. But if you're talking about excitement, Kamala Harris generates the most excitement across racial lines. 41% whites, 32% the blacks. African Americans. Okay. Susan Rice. Y'all like to bring up Susan Rice. Oh, wait. Hold on. 19. One more tidbit. Remember, I said 12% said Kamala Harris would not be acceptable. But when it comes to Elizabeth Warren, 19% called her not acceptable. The highest negative rating of any of the 11 names on the polls rundown. Joe Biden. Y'all listening to this? Woo, child. Now, she has near universal name recognition. She had a $140 billion campaign. So this isn't a matter of like where you have some other black people or some other people that don't have the level of name recognition. They don't have the level of national profile that Elizabeth Warren does. You know, you can't explain her high negative rating as being that people don't know her, because she has near universal name recognition. Former UN Ambassador Susan Rice, who is black, is seen as exciting by 20% of white people and 24% of black Americans. 35% will find her acceptable among Democrats. And mind you, that 19% was among Democrats, okay? 10% said she would be not acceptable, okay? So that's just some good information. I just wanted to point that out because there are people, particularly the pro-Warren crowd, that like to sit up there and push this narrative that people don't care if the person is black. Well, that's not borne out by the data. It's just not. Okay. There was one other tidbit in here that I thought was interesting. What's interesting to me in here is that I talked about that black people, white Americans, 75% of white Americans said it was very important or somewhat important to them that a woman of color was nominated, versus 60% of black Americans and 81% of Hispanics. Black people. I'm sure that the Aunt Glorias of the world are part of that 40%. And I just need you to understand, white people are saying it's okay. It's okay if we have a black person on the ticket. I know a lot of y'all are very concerned, y'all. It takes a white person to be the white person. Wind your black ass up and repeat. It takes a white person to be the white person. Well, white people is not saying that. So y'all can quit acting like we need to be in the back of the bus. Please. Somebody tell Aunt Gloria. I need y'all to keep up with the white folks. We can't be more progressive than the white folks, chill. We can't abdicate our power because we think that the white folks say that you need a white person to be the white person. Meanwhile, the white people are saying, no, we want a black, we want a person of color. We want some melanin on this ticket. Can we get on board? Can we at least match the white people's energy? Hello? Let's get that 60% of blacks up to the 72% of the whites. It ain't too many times I'm gonna side with white folks over black folks. This is one of those times. 75% of white people said that it's important to have a person of color. So all the Aunt Glorias scared. Back of the bus, Aunt Glorias. Patriotic says Aunt Jonathan. Well, I don't know if it's his alter ego or whatever the situation may be, but I'm gonna take his word. He says Aunt Gloria, but to tell Aunt Gloria and her cousins it's okay to have some melanin on the ticket. It's okay to have a person of color on the ticket. Black people, get it together. And Adrian says we don't need a token black on the ticket. We need people that know what they're doing, which is exactly why we need Kamala Harris. I've already laid it out, Adrian. Don't know if you're aware of this. I don't know. I don't remember seeing your name on here before, but just to be clear, I've laid it out. Let me go ahead. I can pull up my article. Credentials, not cosmetics. I've laid it out. It's a video discussion that Star Jones and I had. Let me go ahead and I'm going to put this link up in here. A video discussion that Star Jones and I had where we laid out 20 areas in which black women, and specifically Kamala Harris, are ready on day one to be the vice president, which also means ready on day one to be the president. Okay, I got all the receipts. So, yes. Let's not do the whole token thing when we have black women, and more specifically the one that I support, Kamala Harris. That would not be a token. It's representation because of credentials, not cosmetics. Okay, so y'all have the link. It's currently a 22-minute read. I still have more, so I'm only halfway through it, child, because I have bullet points, but I also wanted to make it more narrative format. I bolded some shit. I'm gonna go back and add some links in. I know motherfuckers don't really read it. I know that people just breeze through it. It's 22-minute article, and people spent 60 seconds reading the shit. So what the fuck you gonna learn in 60 seconds, child? But it's okay. Some people are going to read it for 5 minutes. If they read it for 5 minutes, then I'm happy with that. But it's a guidebook for you to return to when it comes time to talk about why we're not we're not just talking about a token, why we're talking about a person who actually gets it and is qualified and ready on day one. That's Kamala Harris. And then one other poll, I won't go into detail because I'm going to wrap this up, is a YouGov poll. Again, it has Kamala Harris in the lead with 25. I've already uploaded it. I've already uploaded the article. It's available. It's been shared so many times. I'll paste it again. Hopefully you guys, if you guys can see this link, I literally just tweeted it. It should be on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for you to see. But anyway, the link is there at your for your use. But another thing I just want to say is that there's a YouGov poll that came out. Kamala Harris is in the lead again. She's 25% of the respondents said that they want Kamala. Elizabeth Warren did gain ground because the do not know crowd went down. And so Elizabeth Warren did gain ground with that, okay? Because the people got off the sidelines, I guess, and they decided they were going to make a choice. But what I do want to point out is that when I did some analysis and I did some comparing, and from the last poll to this poll, this is the YouGov poll, the percentage for Black women who were selected, that was Kamala Harris, Susan Rice, Karen Bass was added on this poll, Val Demings, Stacey Abrams, Keisha Lance Bottoms. So the percentage went from 44% in the last poll to 46% in this poll, okay, combined. Kamala Harris's percentage still went up. So this isn't a matter of, okay, Kamala is not losing ground, she's gaining ground, which is good, and I hope that it stays that way. I don't like to live by the poll. I don't like to die by the polls, okay? I'm just telling you what the situation is right now. My argument has never been poll-based. 20 for 20, credentials, not cosmetics, is not about polling. You will not actually see any reference to polling in there. I don't think. Not at this point. But my argument has never, ever been policy-based. My argument has always been about representation and qualifications. That's always been my argument. Be clear about that. But I do think it's interesting to say that 46% of the respondents chose a Black woman. That's up from 44% in the prior one. And I think it's interesting that Kamala Harris rose again from 24% to 25%. Even though other people gained ground, that did not lead Kamala to lose ground. Okay, so she's definitely increasing. So that's what I have today. I'm just gonna read a couple of your comments and I'm gonna hop off, y'all. And I will see y'all tomorrow at 5. I'm gonna try to be on time, Shell. This internet was really fooling with me today, so I wasn't on time, but I'm gonna try to be on time tomorrow. Andrea says, read your Medium article. Thanks for sharing what I wanted to articulate. Thank you. And I appreciate all the comments. But the best compliment to me is for you to share it, because it's not for me. It's not me. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about Kamala Harris. And I want people to be educated about her because she still gets a lot of negativity. If you Google her, there's still a lot of negative responses. A lot of people are misinformed. Now, I've already told you guys her statistics. Even with all the attacks that she's endured, she still is lower. She has lower unfavorables than Elizabeth Warren, and fewer people find her unacceptable, and she still garners the most enthusiasm. So obviously, the attacks aren't having the full intended effect, but they have had some impact. And I'm fully confident that if people learn about Kamala, if they listen to her, that they will absolutely see how she's the right person. So like I said, the best thank you for me is you sharing it, not for my benefit. Y'all see, I don't get no money off of this shit, but So it's only because of my conviction and my support for her and what we need in this country. And I just cannot let this cycle go by and not say that I didn't do everything that I could within my power to let the world know that we have a badass black woman who needs to be on that ticket. I was for her to be president. That didn't work out. Thanks to the all glorious of the world, but it's okay. The water under the bridge. But now's the time for her to be on the ticket. Okay. Any other last comments? Let me see. On the debate stage last year, Kamala Harris was shit. Let me see what's the rest of that comment. Was one of the two candidates that knows foreign policy. I think people really should hear Kamala's interview today with Nicole Wallace, because it was a foreign policy discussion. I really want to see her more out there talking foreign policy. Certainly Susan Rice has the advantage there because she's known obviously for her foreign policy, but Kamala Harris has the intelligence, and I don't mean smarts, even though obviously she has that, but she sits on the Senate Intelligence Committee. So she knows more than anybody else in this race right now, even more than Elizabeth Warren, because Elizabeth Warren does not sit on the Intelligence Committee, even more than even Joe Biden, because he's not getting these briefings. She knows more than anybody else what is happening, the threats that are happening in this world, and what we're faced with. And so she can articulate it. So I really want to see her more out there, particularly with this Russian bounty situation. I really want to see her more out there talking foreign policy. She has the criminal justice stuff down. I want her to talk about all these things, but I think that she should really, really, really get more vocal on the foreign policy side, whether it's on her Twitter or whether it's interviews about that, because I think that she really is underrated in that category. Susan Rice is the dark horse. I think that I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is how I end it. It's going to be white is right or Kamala. That's what I firmly believe. Because any merit-based discussion is going to lead to Kamala Harris. That's what I believe. So that's how I'm going to leave it. Join me tomorrow, 5:00 p.m. like I am every day. And I'll see y'all. Thanks to y'all for hanging with me. We talked about gossip and we talked about foreign policy, chair. We are multifaceted on this chat. Okay, tomorrow, let's see what tomorrow brings for us to talk about. Have a good night, y'all. Bye.